Got it.
You're on.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us for our next presentation, expert presentation. We have Justin here today. What a gift, Justin. Thank you for joining us today. Oh my goodness. We have had some really amazing speakers all year long, and today is no exception. One of my most wonderful friends, James Lamb, is here. I asked him to come in because we get questions all the time about how to increase your leads, how to bring on more people into your community. And when I thought about the best expert for this, James came up to mind. I'm going to give a quick little once over on his bio, but just know that have questions ready, ask them in the chat. Justin and I will be taking a look at that consistently. We will mute you if you're speaking, and know that we are going to have a recording. As usual, we're going to send out the recording by the weekend. Just depends on Justin's schedule and what he has going on. Those recordings live on our YouTube channel. So we'll put that YouTube channel link in the chat in just a minute. But make sure to look back at all of our recordings throughout the whole year. We've had some amazing content, and we'll add James in there as well. James Lamb is the owner of Look Ahead Marketing. He helps heart-centered entrepreneurs discover their superpower and use those gifts to shape their business into change-making enterprises through his signature program called Superpowered Business Success. James has also been a franchise. I didn't know you had a franchise, by the way, until I read this. Learn photography company, where he's had over 5,000 students and 10 studios all over Canada. I was going to say Calgary, but that seems like a lot of places in Calgary. So James and I have met multiple times in person. If you guys ever see him going to an event, well worth the trip to hang out with this guy, grab a glass of wine, chit chat. He's pretty wonderful at that. So James and Justin just met today, but as always, we seem to lean heavily on Canadian speakers. I don't know why this is.
We're more polite. We're just more polite, Marie.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Oh my gosh, Denise. They're all like, yeah. Okay, great. Well, I am not in Canada, but that's okay. I have a lot of Canadian friends, which is amazing. So James, we have a whole hour together. We have an amazing community. We are thankful that you are here. Please take the mic, show us around. I'm going to spotlight you just so you're super big on everybody's screen. And then we can see right up your nose. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to unspotlight me here in a second.
Well, my friend, here you go. You have the mic. Please let us know if you need anything, okay?
All right. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate you being here. Look, I have this absolutely boring presentation that I can kind of spoon feed you, or we can just have a chat and figure out where we are, okay? So I'd love to know, and if you can put it in the chat, this is super helpful because, look, we got an hour together. We might as well make the best of it. What is the thing that you would like me to cover? So if there's specifically something like, I need help with finding more leads, I need help with finding joint venture partners, I need help with visibility, I need help with taking steps, like talk to me a little bit about what, if you could put it in one line, what's the one thing that you are struggling with? How to attract, affiliates, sell my products. Okay, keep going. Just put it out there. Finding more leads, interested in affiliate marketing. Okay. Organically finding new leads, no ads, leads and visibility and a senior market. Okay. And if you could put a list of 1 to 10, 10 being like, I am a billionaire and I have tons of affiliate marketers and I am just crushing the earth and universe, versus 0, where you're kind of like, I think I'm scrambling and I'm not really sure how to say these things. Can you give me a number between like 0 and 10 where you are? Okay. How to build a left as changing niches, not related. 1, 1, 2. All right. Well, the good news with ones is there's nowhere to go but up. Justin's an 8. Justin, I can't help you. Go away. Beverly says 2. Jason says 3. Linda's a 4. Jen says 7. Okay. So we're a little bit all over the map here. Okay. All right. Let's do this. I have an idea, and normally I do these in reverse order, but I think you can understand the concept of it. Well, obviously you guys understand because you're in this. You understand the concept of affiliates and PLR and things like this. So I'm gonna actually go in reverse. I'm gonna talk a little bit about how to do these things sometimes in reverse, as weird as it sounds, and we'll have a discussion around that. And then we're gonna talk a little bit more about the ability to sell and things like this. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, even though I really don't like to do this. Apparently I have to do this. So my team always says, James Lamb, you have to talk more about yourself. So I'm going to talk more about myself. So this is me. My kids are way cuter than I am. My dogs are way faster and my wife is way prettier than I am. My parents actually came from Hong Kong. So they set up their own successful business in Toronto. What I really want you to know is, I set this up particularly for online coaches and online healers. Okay. And, we've been featured on medium.com, Authority Magazine, the top 1% of podcasts. We've been featured alongside the likes of like Brett Wilson from Dragon's Den, Susie Carter, Denny, Amy Porterfield, and a whole bunch of other people. More importantly, I built something that is effective that I personally really like. And that brings me a lot of joy. I want to show you something, and a bunch of you are here. The reason why I'm showing you this is the very first lead magnet that I dropped way back in 2001, and you can absolutely say it's ugly, right? The thing's ugly, and I remember doing my very first ad campaign, spending $3,500 to make a total of $0. And worst of all, I was trying to be myself, trying to be perfect, and trying not to make any mistakes. And this was my life for a couple of years. So when you talk a little bit about, I'm really struggling with things, I get you, my friend. Okay. It has not always been an easy road. This next photo is the only photo I took at a 3-day event called JVology, which doesn't exist anymore, but fundamentally it's the better together concept. So the entire premise is, affiliates, we are better together, right? And, this is the only photo because I was worried about putting time and effort into something that I didn't really understand and didn't really embrace, because I was stuck on, and like some of you are here, and this is okay. I was stuck on, oh my goodness, I need to delve into the same thing and hustle and grind and do more and more and more. And we must end that. And that's the reason why you are here today. So you're already ahead of the game. Okay. My very first Facebook Live back in 2021. And I remember doing a launch, and the result was $17,300. And it still sits in the back of my mind because at the time it was a lot of money. And it's like, it was a godsend, right? The two things I had to do, and this is what we're going to talk a little bit about today, are number one is, if you're not exactly where you're going, we need to stop blaming yourself, right? A lot of the times it's not actually your fault. And hint, hint, you can't do everything yourself. We need to have help. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And second of all, we have to reframe these things to do the right things, even if they might be out of your comfort and knowledge zone. Does that make sense, my friends? All right. So I'm going to stop the share. If that makes sense, just give me a wave. Yes, it makes sense. All right, let's start reframing this. And again, like I said, if you can turn on your camera, that's super helpful because I don't like talking to names. Okay. It's weird. Let's do this. I'm curious, does anybody who gets on stages right now? Does anybody get on stages? Anybody do any giveaways? Anybody do a summits, anything like that? Or is it we're using affiliate primarily to send out the traffic? Is that right? Just someone hit me up because I am still making noise. Yes. All right. So let's do this. Okay. A lot of the times. Okay. Lead magnet opt-in versus, okay, lots of web. Is that something you would be interested in doing? Give me a yes or no in the chat. And if it's no, then I'm going to move on. But give me a yes or no if it's something that you would like to learn more about.
Is that getting on stages? Like,
yes. Yes.
Okay. If we would like to learn more about getting on stages.
Yes or no? No stages. Yes. 1, yes. Okay. All right, cool. All right. Let me do this. This is a really too old. No one is too old to do anything, Ruth Ann. Okay. Let's have a chat for a second because I want to show you the power of something. Okay. Let me grab this. A lot of the times, well, let me put it this way. A lot of the times we have, in entrepreneurship and in marketing, we have so many buckets to fill, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the times we have things like, we try to build our email list. We're trying to grow our Facebook. We're trying to grow our Instagram. Some of us do podcasting. Some of us do books, right? Some of us do some of us even do PR. And this is kind of my world we're living in. And some of you will do some of these won't do others, right? The challenge here is this, right? The challenge is a lot of the time, think about these as garden beds, and you have one hose. And if you have one hose, how many garden beds can you water at a time? How many? One. You can only water one garden bed at a time, right? It's one of the biggest challenges that you are going to face, right? Is you can only water one garden bed at a time. Now, I'm going to tell you this straight up. 80% of marketing fails. 80% of marketing fails, which means how many of these are going to work? Probably about one of them. So the challenge here, and just follow me for a second, right? Is that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 out of 6 of your marketing campaigns is going to work, right? Which means, wrap your head around this for a second. If you could figure out which one it is, how much faster could you grow your business? Literally 6 times. You can literally 6x the amount of effort that you can create, right? Crazy, right? But that's not the crazy thing. I'm going to show you what else is crazy, okay? So one of the challenges is this, and so all of you are smart people, I know, because you're all listening to me with your cameras on, okay? And the other thing I know about you is a lot of the time we try to make really big decisions based on small information. What do I mean by that, okay? Anybody have kids or grandkids? Put up your hand. Okay. And we do this thing, right? We do this thing. And I think it's funny because my sister has an 18-month-old baby. And I can hear it in her voice. She's like, you know, Marisol, she walked early. And her thought process is she walked early, therefore she's super athletic, therefore she's going to win like the track and field gold medal and set Olympic records, right? So we take this little bit of information and we extrapolate. Same thing when things go wrong, right? All of a sudden, you know, if they're talking late, if babies talk late, you say, oh my gosh, they're delayed, we're in big trouble. And none of that is true. They're just walking early, or they could be talking late. And the challenge is a lot of the time, especially when we start looking at stats, because we think that's what we should do. When we look at stats, what happens is we end up making rush decisions based on limited information. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Put up your hand if that makes sense, okay? We make rush decisions based on limited information. And so a lot of the times what will happen is we'll actually end up building the thing that actually takes the longest instead of spending the most time doing what needs to happen. So 2 things. Number 1, you're building at a 1/6 of the time of the velocity that you can. Number 2, a lot of the times based on not unlogical reasoning, you're putting effort into the wrong thing. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Let's look at a different thing, okay? So I spent 4 years of my life in a country called Australia. I think you all know where that is. They used to send convicts to Australia. Why am I telling you this? Because what Australia has these beautiful, what are called rock pools. And rock pools essentially are like a cascading fountain of pools. And we need to start looking at our marketing style like that, okay? So this is something that I teach my people, and I'd love you to think about how this relates to you. That is a meaningful thing. I think this is going to make sense, okay? It looks like this. So think of this as the top of it's coming, you know, the top of a stream. And what happens if it fills up? And then what happens when it fills up? You guys know the answer. You can just shout it out. It spills over, and it spills over, and then this one fills up, and then what happens? It spills over. You already know the answer, okay? And a lot of the time, we have to think about marketing in such a way where one thing will spill over to the next, to the next, to the next, okay? One of the challenges, and you have to kind of make the call yourself. This is what I see a lot of with my people. One of the challenges with the things that I talked about, the PR, the books, all that stuff, the Facebook groups, the Instagram, like whatever it is, what are a lot of people trying to build? In short, credibility and authority. And the concept goes like this, right? The concept is, if I have a big enough group, if I'm an author, if I do these things, then people will come to me in droves. And I can sort of, and realistically, one of the things I'm going to tell you is that is a false fallacy, and I've seen it lost. Okay, let me show you a little bit of a different style. Okay, so that last one, people were trying to build authority. Okay, this one, what happens, or at least what I see going on is this, right? We have a bunch of people, so we spend a bunch of time filling up one pool. Now, you already argued, we already concluded that when you fill that one pool, it spills onto the next. And I'm going to tell you this straight up, okay? A lot of the times, right, when we build our email list or when we build some kind of list, it spills over to new opportunities. Okay. And Marie's a specialist at this more than I am, so you should look at her if you're asking questions. Okay. But essentially, an email list will give you the ability to get on more stages, right? We talked a little bit about stages to be able to speak.
Can we define stages real quick, just as we're kind of putting this together?
Yeah, stages can be any form, right? So it can be as complicated as a physical stage with hundreds of people, which most of you aren't ready yet. Okay, you will be. Okay. It can be as simple as a Facebook Live transaction where where your affiliates are able to focus on you. It can be a podcast, right? It can be pre-recorded. It can be live. It could be getting a group together and speaking together with them. Does that make sense? So stages really has a really broad term. And when we think about stages, yes, we think about like the Oscars and then people like slink up in the front and grab these, brass statues, right? And say thank you. But realistically, it can be any stage and any audience watching you.
Well, and I think that's really important, especially for our people here. You guys might be thinking of a stage as somebody else's podcast. You might be thinking of a stage as this. James is now on our stage, right? Like this is a stage. He's training inside of a community. It's a stage. So think about it in your own niche and in your own business. That stage is not as scary as 100 people standing out there and you're standing there with the mic. It can be this. So just know that as we're connecting stages and when we're saying stages, that might be the connection there. So hope that helps.
Justin, do you want to add something?
Somebody else earlier mentioned webinars. I can't remember who, when you were asking somebody who's interested in speaking on stage, they said no, but they said webinars. Well, that kind of is a yes. It's just a different frame. Yeah. And I actually think, James, if you spin webinars into maybe one of these buckets that you're talking about, that'll resonate with a certain percentage of people because webinar is a great way of selling either a digital product, a coaching program, a high ticket offer, even people that take our PLR, for example, and they repurpose it into a course. A great way of getting a bunch of seating your initial group of students in that course could be a webinar, which is in your talk here, a stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And it can be your own stage. It can be a borrowed stage, right? Either one works. And what I mean by a borrowed stage is someone sees your genius and say, you know what, I really like to feature you to my people, right? i.e. what's happening now. That is a borrowed stage and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Does that make sense? I'd love to open the floor for questions because obviously this is starting something and I have a lot more to go through and I want it to be valuable to you. So if you would like to explain it again, I'm happy to do it. Justin's happy to do it. Marie's happy to do it. I'm just going to open the floor for questions. You can put up your, I don't know how this normally goes, but I'm going to let you just put up your hand.
No, you're good. You're good. And I think that, as we're seeing questions in the chat, our people are very good at chat, which I love. Yeah. And we're kind of answering those as we go. We see a common thread of the webinar. So if you think about webinar being a stage, James is thinking stage is so broad. And so if we're bringing it in here, I think that answers a lot of questions. But as always, raise your hand. You guys know where the reactions are. Raise your digital hand and we can always bring that up or just pop it in the chat and Justin and I will bring it up. So I think we're a little bit better.
Yeah, let me just hone in on this for a second because I want to make sure that we understand and we're talking the same language because this is important. Yes, to the chair here, I'm not just leaning over in thin air. So the first thing is this, okay? The first thing is stages can be, you have an affiliate and they put you in front of their live audience, right? So it can be a Facebook Live. I have an inside group of around about 1,200 people, right? And so I could bring Justin on and that would be a stage where we interview back and forth and Justin makes a presentation and he teaches. That can be a stage. It can be me putting 6 people together from my mastermind group and putting them in front of Marie, and Marie talks about joint ventures or customer service or whatever it is. Those are all examples of stages. It could be what's called a summit where you get a bunch of like-minded coaches or healers together and they all exchange and they all kind of pad the audience. So these are great examples. Now they range from anywhere from really simple to really, really complex. All right. So there are the stages with hundreds of people or thousands of people. And, I'm not ready for that yet. Right. It doesn't mean I will never be ready for it. One day I intend to. Right. And so a lot of the times to get to the really big things, we need to start really small. I've been on stages where I paid for the privilege and it was when I was really starting out of 2 or 3 people. This sounds ridiculous and it's true. And there's nothing wrong with that because it gets you practicing what you want to speak about.
Perfect.
Does that make sense? Okay. And I will tell you this as well, or at least my people anyways. A lot of people, they're worried about two things. This is a good conversation, so I hope this resonates with you, and I think it will. Let me write this down. Actually, this is a good one. So one of the challenges is normally one of two things, right? One of the things that hold us back is one of actually three things. So technically, we don't think I'm going to put not ready. So sometimes, we think we need to be really ready to be able to speak on these things. And realistically, I'm going to tell you straight up, if you have an idea, you have a passion, and you have a knowledge, you are ready to speak. Okay. It's one of the things where I work with people and I'm not ready. I'm like, you've been doing this for years. Like so, part of the challenge here is, when you're younger, you say, practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. And then your parents or whoever say, practice makes what? And you say, practice makes perfect. It doesn't. It makes improvement. And this is something you have to wrap your head around. Okay. Number one. Number two, a lot of people feel like they need to have, they're not ready, their signature talk is not ready. Okay. A lot of the time we feel like we need to memorize and be able to do these things. And realistically, you're sitting here listening to me kind of make stuff up along the way because I'm understanding what you do more and more. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it makes more sense. Right. Number three, I had three and I forgot it. Hold on, give me a second. Let me see if I can pull this back. Ready?
James, while you're thinking on that, I wanted to kind of chime in here. What you're saying really resonates with me. We are now in we're about to enter our 14th year of selling PLR. Okay. So in 2010, launched our very first PLR product, didn't really know what I was doing, kept it going. We were releasing maybe a couple of months for the first little while. At the beginning of 2011, so 5 months into this journey, I was invited to someone else's stage. This guy named Dennis Becker. He's still around to this day. And he had regular guests onto his webinars. I was definitely not ready, but I had been selling PLR for 5 months. So I'd been doing something that the majority of the population had not been doing. In my mind, I was still new. I had nothing to sell or nothing to teach. But compared to everyone else, I actually did. And so I had that gap. I think it was Diane left it in the comment section. It's the imposter syndrome type of thing, but I went for it. So he was looking for guests. I raised my hand. I'm like, you know what? If I get on this thing, if I raise my hand and get booked, everything else takes care of itself. I'll figure out my talk. I'll figure out what I want to talk about, what I want to teach. And then even in this case, I was able to make an offer. What am I going to offer? I don't know. I had to figure all of that out once I dedicated myself. Okay, yes, I'm going to do this thing. And from there, that one decision led me to dozens of other webinars over the course of that next year that allowed me to really build that first PLR company that ultimately led to where I am today by just going on that very first stage and overcoming all. So as you were writing this down, I was like, this is exactly what my journey was when I launched my PLR company. And I totally resonated with what you were saying is like, I didn't know the answers to most of those questions, how I was going to do it, what I was going to talk about. Didn't feel like I was credible enough to do it. But one of the very first things you said at this presentation, at the beginning of this presentation, was building authority and credibility. Just by doing that, and then I did a decent job. It wasn't my best presentation ever, but decent enough that it, got the job done. I ticked two of those boxes. I built some credibility and authority. Maybe not to the level I am today, but it got the ball rolling. So what you're saying, I can validate with my exact journey because that's exactly what happened for me. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And let me keep that in your mind, my friends, because I'm going to go on with that in just a second. I want to talk about that. It's a big point, right? The third one, by the way, thank you for covering for me, Justin. The third one is sometimes we think we have nothing to say or nobody's going to listen. And I'm going to tell you what, one of the things we have to do is we have to speak to the people who are raising their hands to listen to you. Right? A lot of the time we're worried about people who don't listen to you. And this is a little bit of coaching right here, right? The mindset is we are talking to the people who do listen to you and who do support you. Okay. As per Justin's point. So someone asked what a signature talk is. I still don't have a signature talk, but a signature talk essentially in my mind is really this thing where you really nail from start to finish. You look at motivational speakers and they kind of move from city to city and they have this one talk that they're able to deliver over and over and over again, right? I do not have that. I don't know if you have that, Justin or Marie. I don't actually have one yet. And it's primarily because it's not how I sell, like, or not how I present, or not how I educate. Because a lot of the times that is a very one way to do education. In this case, I'm looking at y'all. Yes, I went American for a second there. I'm looking at y'all, putting up your hands, getting your reflections, what it is, figuring out where we're going. Does that make sense? Okay, let me explain this, and I'd love to, because I think this is a big learning point for you, and I think this makes sense. And I'd love to center the conversation afterwards around how you can, okay? Because a lot of the times when you come through and you listen to some of us speak, you're like, that's great, I'll just do it in my spare time. And realistically, one of the challenges is you guys already work hard and I know that about you. And you can't do it in your spare time. But a lot of the time you have to drop something that doesn't serve to bring something in that does serve. But let's talk for a second. So one of the things is we looked at building the email. People will get to know about you. Let's just like they got to know about Justin. They're like, you know what, let me put you on a stage. One of the really cool things about stages is people love what you say, even if you're not perfect, right? Which means people sign up for what? Your lead magnet, or whatever it is, which means you add more, what? Emails. And then someone like Marie comes along and says, you know what? I heard you're doing really, really good things. Let's put you on a summit. Okay. Because now, okay, that's supposed to say summit. And then on the summit, you get together with a bunch of coaches and healers and you have these conversations and then you build your email list. So the point here is this, right? The point is that you start from somewhere and it always cascades down and it becomes really easy. Let me put it another way, okay? And it took me a long time to get here. So it took me like 6 months to figure this one out. Okay. And I think it's hilarious, but it's true, right? Part of the reason why we've been so successful is this formula. Okay. This formula is the more emails, and it doesn't have to be emails, right? It can be influence in terms of like, if you have a podcast subscriber, if you have an inside group, like it doesn't need necessarily, emails is kind of the easiest, most universal currency. Okay. Emails lead to what? More opportunities. That's what you see here. And if you play your cards right, part of the reason why I was asking about stages, if you play your cards right, it leads to more what? Visibility. And visibility leads to what? More emails. This is that cycle that we have to get into. Does that make sense? And the visibility, but so let's talk a couple things. So number one is this. The visibility is twofold. First fold, are you going to get your potential customer to listen to you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Number two, who else sees this? Other people, other coaches, other healers or other affiliate partners who are keen to promote you. Right? And like I said, once that happens, you get more emails and then more opportunities come your way and so on and so forth. Justin, was I ready for your stage a year ago? Absolutely not. There's no way, right? But because we're working the system here and we're working and believing in what we do, that's how to build. Okay. Now, I want to absolutely make this a value for you. So my question, and one of the central things of this, the reason why I asked for stages is because this is sort of the central plank to like 90% of what's going to happen. Okay. So there's kind of 2 or 3 common themes here. Number one is this. Number one is, we understand we need to improve the mass of our marketing, so to speak. Okay. And one of the things is I need to take opportunities. Once I take opportunities, I'm going to be more visible. And yes, it is absolutely scary to show up on stage, especially if you've never done it. It's absolutely scary to be seen sometimes, and it is well worth it. Okay. So I'd love to turn the question back to you. A lot of the times the people I work with, I teach really pragmatic stuff. And the thing that tends to hold people back is going to be a sense of either fear or confusion. That's okay. Talk to me a little bit about where I can help you out a little bit. Is it, I don't know where to find them? Is it, I'm scared my content's not good enough? Is it, I don't feel ready? You can put it in the chat. You can just raise your hand too. If you raise your hand, it's a little bit easier.
Yep, sorry. I'm going to bring this up because I think this is a good starting point as people are raising their hand and having some other ones. But somewhere, I'm sorry, I can't remember who, but somebody had said they have a lot to say, but they don't think it's new or unique or anything that hasn't already been said before. And I think this is a lot for other people too. Like we feel like we're saying the same thing that everybody else is saying. There's so much white noise. So can you talk to that a little bit?
Yes, great question. So the reality is, you can find everything that I just said on YouTube somewhere. It's not just the content. It doesn't need to be new. It's the way, and is your interpretation, the way you spin it. Okay. So here's the thing, right? Who would consider themselves a coach? Put up your hand. All right. Who would consider themselves a healer? Put up your hand. Okay, there's a few of you. So here's something really interesting, right? Let's talk about mindset coaching just for just argument's sake. Okay, mindset coaching, you talk about releasing past trauma, you talk about mindfulness to refocus, you talk about growth mindset. Like all of these are different philosophies behind mindset coaching. Now, a lot of I can teach all of that, but I may not be the right person, the right coach for somebody because they don't feel comfortable with me. Now, they might feel comfortable with you. Maybe you're more empathetic than I am. Maybe you're more encouraging. Maybe you listen better. Maybe you ask better questions. So what I'm trying to say here is you don't need to have new content because quite frankly, your avatar doesn't know very much of it anyways, number one. And number two, the right person will come to you. So a lot of the times, I joint venture, I affiliate with other people who are my exact competition. Alina Vincent is my exact competition, right? Amy Porterfield is really in many ways my exact competition. Why do I do that? James Lamb, aren't you scared that you're going to lose clients? No, because my style isn't right for them. Of the 15,000 people I have on my email, 14,700 have never bought anything from me and will probably never buy anything from me. So why am I holding on to them? When I can push them into someone who actually will help them. Right? And the same thing, you must sit in that power for yourself too. You do have something to say. It is unique because you wash it against your experiences, your wisdom, your perspective. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And sometimes for the right person, they hear it for the right time and it's new. Somehow the way you spin it, it's new. Maybe it's your stories, maybe it's the way you are. Okay. Does that answer the question? That was a long way of saying you don't need to have new stuff because the way you present it is always new.
I just want to jump in here quick, James. I'm a big fitness enthusiast. So I follow tons of fitness influencers and watch YouTube videos and all of that stuff. None of them really say anything different from the next person, but certain ones have different followings and some of them have extremely large followings and their followings look nothing like the followings of their counterparts or their competition. And again, it all comes down to what you just said. It's the vibe, it's the flavor, it's the uniqueness of that person's message. Some guys are like, there's one guy I follow, he's like an ex-con. He was in prison for 10 years and he yells into the camera, and that's what people need to get fit. Whereas other people, if you told them to do that, they'd never want to lift a weight or do any workout for the rest of their lives. So they need somebody that's a little bit more encouraging and soft and whatever. And there's a market for all of these. And there's like hundreds of nuances between each and every one of these. So to me, that was sort of what I want to add to the conversation is think the big ones like fitness market, some of the other ones as well, where you see literally hundreds or probably thousands of influencers and they all have a following because they're different from one another, just like all of us on this call are different from one another in our coaching practices or healing practices, or even a stage I was thinking of that we didn't talk about, James, is a product launch. If you create a digital product and a bunch of people are promoting it, you're kind of creating a virtual stage where you don't have to be there talking to people. You are creating an authority through this page. Like, look at this guy or this girl. They built a product and it's for sale and there's people buying and everybody's talking about it. So that for those of you that maybe don't want to get in front of a lot of people, that could be a stage for you as well. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that into the conversation there. Thanks.
Well, one of the cool things about this, and this is a writer downer, unless your name is Kofi, in which case you're driving, please don't write this down because you're driving. But the writer downer is this, right? The writer downer is, to be successful, we have to build the business around ourselves and our genius. Period. Full stop. End of story. What does that mean? It means you need to be okay. And I'm going to give you a great example. Okay. So Marie mentioned that I had a franchise with Learn Photography Canada. So we started the franchise. By the way, don't anybody start a franchise here. It's a terrible idea. It's a money losing proposition. Different lifetime ago. Okay, but essentially, you know, one of the things that I worried about is the things that I didn't cover when we created the course. And so I wasn't building the best thing for me. I was building something based on fear of other things. You have a genius inside you. Once you step into that genius, once you know what it is, that's gonna, like, once you build it the best you can based on what you think, it's gonna lead you to success, right? Same thing with what Justin was talking about stages. Like, you don't have to get on the big stages. You do you. Right? That's a process of figuring out what's most powerful for you, right?
I'm just gonna add on. Yeah, I'm gonna add on to this. You don't necessarily have to get on stages. I do think that there's something about growing and getting more visibility by having partnerships and affiliates and things. I know for Justin and us at Tools for Motivation, we have over 500 affiliates, and not all of them promote all of our stuff all of the time, but we are consistently talking with them and making sure they have all of their details. So I just want to make sure, as business owners, you understand that there is something about collaborating with others, and that really helps grow and scale your business. And I think that's what we're talking about with stages, is collaborations. And that could be an affiliate who shares your business ideas or your coaching program with their list. So although you don't have to go out there and get on everybody's stage, you do have to have some collaborations. And thankfully, we have amazing community. We have so many of our members here, our TFM members inside our community, who get to meet, you know, every other week, chat with each other, see how you can support each other. So just want to make sure we're adding that on as well. I know we have Beverly who has her hand up. If you're good with taking her question, James.
Yep. Absolutely. Beverly, what can I help you with?
Hi, James. What I'm going through right now is I just finished putting together a website and a product, and I got it launched on JVZoo, and I'm trying to combine my Tools for Motivation with affiliate marketing type deals. So what I'm going through is I am like a behind the scenes type person. I love doing anything I can do to make money, but I don't like being on stage. But now that you clarified, it sounds better for me. I want to do a webinar, and I need to try to partner with people. I just got brave enough to do 3 letters to maybe like 3 of the top vendors that we have on JVZoo. I bought products from these guys since 2014. Excuse me. So I'm just waiting to hear back to see if they will, work as a joint venture person for me or whatever, like 50%, 65% or something like that. But I'm trying to figure out how to get the webinar part put together. So I don't know how to approach people to get joint ventures going for more affiliates and, to do a webinar, that sort of thing.
Okay, Beverly, what's a great question from Shelly? What's your, in like a line, what's the product that you're selling?
I put a bundle deal together that teaches people about how to be an affiliate marketer, not only how to be one, but a super affiliate marketer. I have 9 products together. It teaches about copywriting, how to do social media, several things that even I struggle with. So I have to look at my own product and learn from it. But it's a bundle for $297. And I feel that bundle will kind of kill off some of the puzzle that people buy. How you buy a product, you say, okay, I learned this, now what? How do I do the next thing with it? So I put that bundle together so you don't have those questions.
Okay, nice, good for you. So congratulations on movement. You are definitely moving, okay? Number 1. I think one of the, let me draw something out, Beverly, and it's a long way of saying something short, okay? But I want you to kind of understand this, okay? Because it's a really good question. So Who uses social media extensively for their business? Put up your hand if you do. Yeah, there's a couple of you. Okay, all
I
three of
think
you.
most
Okay.
of us are in email.
Okay. One of the challenges is this. Okay. One of the challenges I'm gonna tell you straight up is this, and I see this all the time. So a lot of the time, it's kind of like this. Okay, we have, like, imagine these are a set of stores, and you have, you're on sidewalk here, and you own a barbecue, super 4th of July, right? You own a barbecue place, and you hang out a sign here, and you get people walking by. It's kind of like your email drip campaign. Does that kind of make sense? So, and then once in a while, you're like, you know what, it's time to change up that sign. Now we get a free drink with an order of ribs. And then you're kind of like, okay, well, that didn't quite work. So then you change the sign up again, and you say free ribs with or free drink with ribs, right? Whatever combination or permutation that you want. Okay. And one of the challenges, and you guys already know this, is this: these people who are here walking back and forth, if your email list is stagnant, they're the same people, right? They're the same people. And one of the biggest challenges that we have, and not only the same people, but they're the people who walk to work every day. They are concerned about their health. They're the vegans, which means it doesn't matter what stuff you put out on your sign, because they're vegans, and you're serving what? Barbecue, by the way, which you used to send me. Okay. So it's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is that we think it's us that's the problem. What I'm telling you is, you're not the problem. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Most of you know this anyways, okay? But I'm gonna just reinforce the point, because I want it to be really, really amply clear what the answer is. Most of you know there's a set of stores here, right? The market's terrible. There's a set of restaurants here, right? And there is a big roadway here. That's your traffic equivalent, okay? And this place does plant-based, right? And then you end up just making a deal to send traffic both ways, right? Does that make sense? That's your affiliate / joint venture relationship, right? And then in the joint venture, when you make a sale, they get paid, and vice versa. That's kind of the relationship there that you already are familiar with. The big thing, I'm going to ask you this, okay, and it's a serious question, is why aren't you out finding more joint venture or affiliate relationships? This literally gives you pretty much unlimited leads, right? And if you've created the right funnel, you will basically build your list and get with your exact avatar and get paid for it at the same time. Whoa, James, say that again. You will build your list and get paid for it at the same time. If your lead mag, so for example, I have well, you guys are going to get this anyways, but I should know this and I don't, and I'm embarrassed. It's something like 5 fast and easy hacks to make big money from small lists for online coaches, healers, and course creators. Who do you think's downloading my lead magnet? Online coaches, healers, and course creators. So I'm building my list with the exact avatar, right? I'm building my list with the exact avatar, and on something like a joint venture, we do launches internally. Okay, that's our style. So we do launches 4 times a year, 2 at 1K and 2 at 12.5. And why am I telling you this? Because when people sign on, we also make money, and it's risk-free for us, because those people who come in, we only pay a commission when they buy. Hold on. So you're saying, James Lamb, that I get to build the list with my exact avatar and nurture them, and I only pay for sales when I get them? Yes. So a serious question, and it's not, I'm not berating you. And this is an honest to God question, is this: why aren't you spending your time finding more affiliates, finding more joint ventures? And you're all looking at me like that makes sense, because it does make sense. Right? A lot of people, the challenge a lot of people try to chase the sale. They try to chase the individual. They try to chase the sale. What we have to do is we have to chase the network. When you learn to chase the network, your world becomes much larger, Okay. I will also tell you this as well. Okay. I will also tell you, Marie, why is this so difficult some days and you know our company? So in my experience, there a lot of the times, and you have to be okay with this. Something I'm going to drop another nugget of wisdom that I think, and Justin, I'd love your input on this because I just came up with this a few weeks ago. Okay. There's sort of 7 things that you need to have in place before you sell consistently. Now, once you have all 7 of those, you will sell consistently all the friggin' time. Interesting, right? What are those 7 things? Are you curious? Are you keen to learn what those 7 things are? Okay, this is my opinion, and I think I'm right on this. Okay, because I've looked. So Marie and I, like I said, we go back what, 6 months now, a whole 6 months, something almost a year, Marie, right? And one of the things that we notice is at these things like the Marketers Crew, we go to the Marketers Crew, we go to things they call JVX, we go to these events where we get together and we chat. And one of the things that's really important to note is there's people who sell in droves, and then there's people who don't sell. And which side do we want to be on?
I'm gonna stop you for a second because we have a lot of questions that are all in bold.
Okay.
Because people want to know, and we're gonna kind of connect some dots here.
Okay.
Everybody's like, where do we find these people?
Okay.
Where can we find these partners? Where can we find these affiliates? Where are the people to find? So one thing that I know James and I have done, and what he's talking about with the Marketers Cruise, with JVX, those are in-person networking events. We chose to fly to somewhere and get in a room and talk with the other affiliates and the other partners that are there and say, I have a thing. Does it fit for your audience? Can we work together? So that's one way that James and I have done and found each other and collaborated together. Other ways to do that are virtual networking events. We have tons of virtual, just put it in Google if you'd like. You can go to meetup.com. You can find your local chamber of commerce has people. There are a ton of ways to find other people who are willing to share your content with their list. And that's where you find those different affiliates. I know that I've talked a little bit, I don't know, Justin, if we've done this in a while, but we have a lot of people here who have businesses that might be able to collaborate together. And we haven't really opened that up as an internal TFM thing. So maybe this is an opportunity as well. So that's kind of one thing. James, do you have anything else? Because I just want to make sure we're connecting the dots.
I do. And I hope, and look, this is free. Okay. And I'm going to be straight up about, and I talked to Justin and Maria, but I don't know why I'm embarrassed about this, but yeah. So I have a brand new 3-day challenge, and there's about 300 healers and coaches who are looking to partner in joint venture and affiliate. And to join this 3-day challenge, it will cost you all of $0. Now we are on day 3. Okay. So you want to go back. Can you drop that link for me, Marie? Okay. And it's all tagged back to the source, right? But essentially, join the challenge, go back to day 1 and find people where you can collaborate and work together. Okay. That's going to be a really, 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 like, if I were you, this is only a personal thing because you kind of understand now, right? If I were you, that's what I would do. At the very least, I would show up and on day 1 say, this is what I do. This is what I'm looking for. And like, I think we should do this. Okay. Does that make sense? So like to me, it's a no-brainer. If you're serious about business, you're serious about developing your networks, you're serious about growing, you're serious about delivering the wisdom that you have inside you, you cannot do it alone. You do not have enough marketing mass yet. One of the fastest ways to grow is going to be through collaboration. It just is. Okay, I've done the math before. I think something like is social media, because a lot of my people grow on social media. That's how they try to do it. They try to like make friends and then sell them on friends. Those people who friend you on Facebook and be like, we can set your appointments like 4 of them in an hour, or else you pay nothing. And you're like, yeah, whatever. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is growth on social media. Everybody can do it. It'll just take you 150 years. We don't have that kind of time. Do we? We don't have that kind of time. And quite frankly, I can tell this is the commonality thread in all of entrepreneurship is two things. Number one, you work harder than your friends and family, you deserve success. That's the first thread, okay? The first thread is get it out of your head, you'll never be successful, because you will. The second thread is maybe, just maybe, I can't hustle and grind this thing to success because I'm doing the wrong thing. Now, I'm not saying you're definitely doing the wrong thing, but I'm saying you need to open that possibility sometimes, because a lot of my people, they would just work themselves to death and that's had me. And same thing, and I've seen it all the time. Okay. So does that make sense? Am I answering the question? So the challenge is basically, the challenge is basically 3 days. I drop content each day on the Insider group. You meet a bunch of people. The big thing there, because all of you are pretty bright anyways, and all of you got Justin. The big thing there is day one, there's about 200 people who are looking to collaborate, to support one another. That is a godsend for you, and it takes you like an hour to go through. And if you get like 10, if you get like 10 partners out of it, is it worth it? Yes, absolutely. And how much does it cost you to join the challenge? Nothing. And if you don't like the stuff I put out, you can unsubscribe.
Can I jump in, James? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So amazing advice here. There's no right or wrong answer in terms of how to JV, how to collaborate, how to find partners. What I will say is that Marie mentioned it. We have 500 affiliates that now promote tools for motivation. That happened very slowly and organically over many, many years of doing this. Okay. So I think a lot of people build this whole finding JV partners and finding people to collaborate with to this giant thing in their head. And it doesn't have to be that way. Look for those of you that are here live, look into the chat. If you scroll up earlier, Beverly put up her hand and asked a question and talked about her products being on JV Zoo. About 3 minutes later, I apologize to forget your name. Somebody came in and said, Beverly, I'd like to know what your product name is. I promote products on JV Zoo. Let's connect. That's how these things work. You show up to a live Zoom meeting, you say something that catches someone's attention. They go, hey, that sounds cool. Let's connect. I hope those two, I think you're both here live still. I hope you're connecting. So send each other a message on the Zoom meeting live, get each other's email address, have a conversation. That's no different than what Marie was talking about going to the cruise. You're there live, you're meeting people in person, which by far the best way to do JV deals is go out and meet people face-to-face, shake hands the traditional way. I noticed Chad Fullerton's here. He's been a guest with us. He's been a partner of Tools for Motivation. Him and I met in person back in 2013. We've been doing deals together ever since. The key thing is back to what James was saying at the very beginning of this presentation, is you need to take those first few steps, put something out there, have something to share, a unique voice. For me, it was putting out a product that was of decent enough quality that people wanted to buy it and leave a nice review. Other people saw that I was creating products. Instantly, I had people knocking on my door wanting to do deals together. So you just have to take some of these initial steps that James has already shared with you, and slowly and organically over time, you will find JV partners. Don't worry about getting 100 today. Start with one. That's already happened in real time on our presentation today. And if you just get out and do things, be active, show up to Zoom meetings, present on Zoom meetings, attend podcasts, attend live events, this stuff happens organically. I'll leave it at that, James. I wanted to kind of demystify it for people and just make you realize this happens every day. It's part of the living, breathing, what you do as an entrepreneur. Just keep your antennas up for JV deals. Yeah.
It's simpler than you think.
Yep.
So I was reading, I don't know if anybody's read Limitless by Jim Quick. I don't know if you read it or not, Justin.
I have.
And there is a line there, and it really struck me. So we always have this, the phrase is knowledge is power. That's the phrase, but it's actually misconstrued. Did you know that? I didn't realize this. It actually is knowledge with intentional action is power. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Other questions I can answer. These are really good questions. So I will open the floor. Marie, I know I'm missing a whole bunch on chat, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to teach and I can't watch the chat at the same time.
No, you are doing awesome. Justin and I are watching. We have a couple people are taking this, okay. Right? Like, take a look at the chat. And I'll just remind everybody, we are going to have a replay. Absolutely. We have shared a couple links so far from James. We'll keep popping those in the chat. James, one thing that came up, and I'll just bring it to your attention and I'll let us update this, but there is an offer right after the freebie, and that looks like those dates are in the past. So maybe you can let us know when the next upcoming
God.
event is, the workshop. So it's peaceful. James, I love you. And I know that life is the way it is, and we'll make sure we come back, and anybody that's got that freebie, maybe just reach out. Second is that as we are going through this, there's a lot of conversation about people sharing, hey, I'd like to connect. I'd like to connect. So download the chat, save the chat. If you guys have not done that yet, I'll just ask you to. There's 3 little buttons down there in the chat window, and that allows you to save the chat. That way you can go back and connect with each other. If you're in the TFM community, you see each other a decent amount. So reach out and just connect with each other. This is the way that we do networking.
We'll include the chat transcript right on the YouTube replay. I think we don't do it all the time, but today was super interactive. So we'll do that so everybody can kind of go back and watch on the replay as well.
Awesome.
And
that
again,
is beautiful.
So this is a great example. We're learning on the fly here. So James showed up live. He's playing full out, 100%, doing a great thing. Got people interested in the lead magnet. So the workshop dates weren't perfect. So what? So he's going to go back and fix it. Show up to events, deliver presentations, create products. You know how many times a week we screw things up at Tools for Motivation? We fix them. We call the customer. We tell them it's fixed. They go, thank you. We move on. This is how it works. I think people, again, that you get in your head, you worry about getting things right. It's never going to be right, ever, ever, ever. So you just go, you got things into action, and you just make sure that your safety net is that you have a very high level of character, and you fix the things that need to be fixed, and you follow through with the communication to the customer to let them know it's fixed. And if you do that, you simply cannot lose. You just stay in action. So again, learning on the fly here. This is a beautiful presentation because we're seeing the full dynamics of entrepreneurship in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the, so there was a mistake on the workshop. We're not doing them anymore. So the next best thing is going to be the challenge. Okay.
There you go.
That was a mistake that we made. And one of the great things, if I might, I'm going to put the challenge in here again. One thing I do want to address is this. Okay. So do you remember way back when I did the very first thing and I was talking about getting on stages, and I said, when you're watering 7 different pot plants, you're trying to build authority. When you try to build authority, it's really hard to make a mistake because you create a persona. The second one, when you're on stages, you build an audience. Someone who follows your personality, someone who follows you. And those quote unquote mistakes, as you grow, become endearing. Does that make sense? So again, the more you are yourself, the better this thing is going to go. The more you lean into what you do know and what you don't know, that's okay, the better it's going to go. Okay, my friends, we've got 2 minutes left. I'm happy to take questions. I'm curious, if you don't have a question, I'd love to put in the chat, what is the biggest thing you learned today? What's like the one theme that you got out of today?
I know for me, I love the analogy of having all of the different, plants and trying to water them all at the same time. And I think we get kind of focused on that and thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do all of the things, because we're getting so much as business owners, we're getting it from all the different ways. So it just resonated. I've never seen you. I mean, I've seen you present multiple times, but I haven't seen that analogy before. And then the cascade just makes sense. And I think that as we're thinking about how this is a cyclical, like you do a little bit here, it's going to get here, it's going to go back here, and it comes back around. Yeah. But just like Justin said, like you have to keep moving forward. And perfectionism is not a thing anymore, y'all. Like I don't ever wear shoes on any of my calls. Just so you guys know, I'm completely imperfect. I always like have comfy pants on. I'm just going to tell you, like we're here as real people making real things happen because we love you as a community, and that's the very best that we can do. And so if you're showing up for your community the same way, it's going to go way better. Perfectly polished, absolutely perfect, all of the photo shoots in the world doesn't mean anything to your audience. They love the authenticity. So I just want to say that, and I'm feeling that, and I want to make sure you guys understand, just keep moving forward. And I know Justin is a great example of that in TFM too. So Gail, I see you have a question real quick.
Marie, just before we get to Gail's question, I wanted to, because Janice had Janice in the chat had a great reminder. Both you, Marie, and myself distracted James, and he was about to unveil or reveal his 7 Now I lost the chat. The 7 things we need to sell consistently. So I think if we can get those out of you, James, because people are really eager to hear those, then we'll get to Gail's question. Gail, if you don't mind waiting for another minute, because that's totally my fault. I distracted James. I didn't get to deliver that.
We'll do it really quickly. So, you know, and again, I'm going to cover it in the challenge as well. So if you want more of my droning on and things like this, please join the challenge. Okay, it's completely free. And if you don't like it, that's okay. It's not, I'm not going to take it personally. Okay. Well, the 7 things are, so first of all, we always think the reason why things don't sell are things like, I don't have the right price, it's too expensive, I don't have the right message, my audience isn't right, I just need to be put in front of the right audience. Like, those things are categorically false. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the 7 things are. So they are, you need to have a really strong transformation. That's the biggest one I see more than anything else people do not get. Okay, especially if you're in the coaching or energy realm. More sleep, more energy is not a transformation. Okay, quite frankly. So we have to move from, I'm going to put more, okay, to definitive. Okay. The second one is your product description. Okay. These are things like, is it online? What is it about? What's the format? And a lot of times we go from marketing, we have to go from marketing to clarity. The reality is when I sell, I have 2 products only, and that's it. And when I sell them, they are god awful boring. I wish I had like some marketing talk with them, and they're just not, right? So the third one is, and some of you are ready for this, some of you aren't. If you're not ready for it, this is okay. What's called a stack and bonus. Okay. So stack and bonus, we tend to think we try to add too much value. What we actually need to do is address limiting beliefs. And I'll describe that more on the challenge. Okay. 4 is we have to what's called future pacing, new possibility. A lot of the time we're so keen on selling, a lot of the times we get stuck on providing the right solution to them, when in fact we have to talk about how it changes their life, quite frankly. Okay, I'm going to go through this again when I'm done so that you can write it down, because I know some of you are missing things. Okay, the last one is, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are all the same. They're the 3 points that you will talk about on any like lead magnet, webinar, masterclass, 3-day challenge, whatever it is. And a lot of the times we tell them how to change their lives when we don't actually want to tell them how to change their lives. We want to tell them what they have to do. So we actually give them the solution. This is the craziest thing you'll ever hear. Okay, we actually give them the solution, but we don't tell them how. So for example, here's the secret. You ready for this? The key to limitless wealth is finding partners to promote you. That's it. That's literally it. The key to building a successful business and limitless wealth is find partners to promote you. How? Does that make sense? So let me revise this one more time. Okay. So these are the 7 things that you need to know cold. And once you know them cold, the reality is you can sell on any event. For example, when I go to JVX, I'll probably end up making, and I don't say this to show off, right? I'll probably end up making about $20,000 at JVX because I know how to sell. Okay. Because I know my stuff. It's not just selling, it's I know my stuff. Number 1, the transformation, right? A lot of the time we think we have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. You move from not more of this to what's the definitive transformation. Number 2, the description. Move from marketing, just make it really clear. Number 3, your stack and bonuses. Please don't include like your 17,000 page manuscript of whatever it is. People don't care. Okay. You want to actually just address their limiting beliefs. I don't have enough time. I don't think I can finish this. I don't think I can, I don't see myself being an energy healer, whatever it is, right? Future new possibility. A lot of the time we're like, you need energy healing. We need to address once your chakras are balanced, you will, obviously I deal with a lot of healers. Once your chakras are balanced, you will feel complete and you will wake up loving the day, right? The 3 points, whatever you teach on any, whether it's stage, whether it's masterclass, whether it's webinar, right? That's another term that's been thrown around here. You want to, a lot of us show flash and we're like, look at how good I am. Look at how I can create change. We actually just need to tell them the answer right away. And the step-by-step is reserved, and be okay with it, is reserved for your paying clients. That's it.
Amazing. I just want to say thank you, Charles. Thank you, Chad. I know you guys have put some of that in the chat. As a reminder, we're going to download the chat and add it with the replay because there's just been so much happening in the chat, which is absolutely fantastic. Make sure that if you guys have put in conversations about connecting with each other. There's been emails back and forth in there. James, you have created a catalyst where other people are now going to create amazing partnerships with each other just because we're having conversations. I'm absolutely obsessed, as always. Justin, anything else before I bring up Gail? I just want to make sure we've answered that 7. I think we got through the 7 there. You're muted, my friend.
Yeah, let's go to Gail.
Okay, Miss Gail.
Thank you. Actually, I was just going to comment on what I got out of it. My glaring revelation was that I don't have to have that signature speech or talk to get in front of people. I'm in front of people a lot. I do a lot of meetings and that kind of thing. But when it comes to this, what I'm trying to establish a business, all of a sudden I'm not qualified. So yeah, thank you. And the other thing was the 7 points, which are covered. Thank you so much. This has been really, really beneficial. Good. Appreciate it.
A lot of the times, you know, and Justin and Marie, you guys know this as well. A lot of the times we feel like we have to have all these things in place before we succeed. And the reality is there is the expression where you build the plane as it flies, or whatever the expression is, right? And so, you know, and again, we have to scrub the belief system of practice makes perfect, because as you continue to grow as an entrepreneur, as you continue to grow as a coach, as you continue to grow as a healer, whatever it is, you will get better. So I always tell my people, let's do a lead magnet and they're like, it's done forever, right, James Lamb? And I'm like, no, it's not done forever, because you are going to change what you teach. You are going to change as a person, and you're going to look back at that lead magnet 18 months later and say, oh my gosh, I created that, right? But that's the beautiful thing. But to be able to get to the mark 18 months later, where you need to change it, is you need to step into what it is you do right now.
I love it. Justin, any thoughts there? I know any other questions, you guys can pop them in the chat as we're finding a peaceful close here.
We're getting lots of great feedback. You know, some people have to leave, obviously, top of the hour. We're just thanking James, get people taking away a lot of notes, a lot of networking going on, which is even better. That's so cool. Yeah, a lot of great feedback here. So no, I think we're good, Marie. I think this has been another hit.
Awesome.
Just pumping out the hits for Tools for Motivation.
I love it. Well, James, thank you again, my friend, for joining us. We're going to go ahead and close down the recording. As always, if you can, stick around for a little bit, because we have a cute little after party. We have some fun things, and we open up a little bit more, because if you don't come on live, you don't get your questions answered. And when people hang out after this, we start to just kind of, you know, let loose a little bit and have good conversations. So Justin, if you want to close down the recording, and then we'll hang out for just a couple more minutes. Thank you for everybody who was able to show up live. Super appreciate it.
Marie, do you want me to hang around for these?
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be great. And yeah, thanks everybody watching on the replay. Hope to see you at the next one live. Take care.